Howdy, brothers.
Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water.
We're so deep in it. We are showing up once again for an amazing episode. And yeah, just happy to be here. I love, dude, bi-weekly is the vibe. I'm
Bi-weekly is
sorry, it's the vibe.
resonating. I mean,
It's resonating.
although technically we're probably tri-weekly at this point.
No, I think we're on it.
I don't recall. I actually don't know the answer to that. But regardless, bi-weekly is definitely resonating with me.
Yeah. I feel like we can just show up so much better, like so much more inspired, so much more to catch up on and like tell you guys about.
Yes.
I think our guests are like popping off harder.
I know, you guys, we are like so excited about our guests for this season. Like last episode with Mari was so fire. Like I'm still thinking about that conversation. Today's episode with the iconic Bianca from first TikTok, then Tarte Cosmetics. I mean, like literally
she's a star.
She's an absolute star. And that one's a long time coming because I had reached out to her when she was working at TikTok. And I was like, hey, you should come on the podcast. And she wasn't allowed to for XYZ. But now she's with Tarte. She's the social media manager at Tarte. And like,
she's the girl behind Tripping with Tarte. She's the girl behind the Shape Tape mascot. She's just a little marketing genius and we love her.
She is an icon. She is a legend. And we have such a good conversation with her. Her path is going to surprise you guys, honestly. And I really love that about her story.
Yeah.
But I won't give anything away. You guys just sit tight until the very end. There's so many good nuggets of knowledge in there and so much inspiration to come from her story and how she got where she's at. And we talk a little bit about like the New York City culture and community, which I think is interesting too. So yeah, lots to look forward to. But before we get into all of that, let's do a little bit of catch up since it has been a few weeks.
Catch up.
Squirt.
And things have been going, guys. Things have been moving along. We have a lot to catch up on. I think last time we spoke, I was in Miami. We were actually last time we spoke, we were filming for Mari in Miami. Yes. I'm back in LA now, lives obviously in Fort Lauderdale still. And yeah, we did some dress shopping, which is so exciting.
Guys, I have a wedding dress. That is so crazy. It really like made everything feel real. I'm so excited. I'm so happy with the dress. I only tried on 6, which I think is a slay. Cause like y'all know me. Like if I try on 20 dresses, I'm gonna be like, I literally can't decide. I'm just gonna like spin in a circle and point to one and pick that. But no, it was perfect. I'm so happy with my dress. Even after like looking at the photos, I'm like, yes, that's the one. Like I felt so good in it. I just feel so good in it. You just now you know.
And it's such a seamless process. you know. And it was such a seamless process, honestly. Like
it was.
And it was so nice because you were able to bring everyone and like she's got a squad, guys. Like we were like,
and we were missing 3 people.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it couldn't have worked out better. And the showroom was amazing. We went to Grace Loves Lace and Wynwood, but honestly they were so amazing and the dresses were stunning.
Yeah, shout out Grace Loves Lace. I'm partnering with them. Their dresses are beautiful. And it was just it was a 10 out of 10 day. Like it couldn't have gone better. I was so happy. I had so much fun. I was literally just on a high for the rest of the day. It was amazing. So yeah.
And then we had a yummy lunch after.
Yes, things are happening and it is crazy, but very exciting stuff. Other than that, I did my first cold plunge today. I have to tell everyone because I'm proud of myself.
You should be.
And it was fun. I've wanted to do one for so long. And today had the opportunity to go into a cold plunge at the Bow and Tea event, which was super, super fun. And it's like, I don't know if it's painful for everyone, but like I was telling the girls after, I can deal with the discomfort. It's the pain that's the hard part. Have you done one before, Jess?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've cold plunged a bunch.
Painful, like my like physical pain. So that was really hard to get through. But as soon as I hopped out, like I felt so good, and I'm just really looking forward to the next one that I do. Priscilla, our friend, bought them
all the time. She bought one.
Yes.
Wow. Girl. Honestly, I've been looking into either getting one of those like just tubs that they put you just have to put this in. And I was like, damn, I don't know if I'm realistically gonna do it if it's like that much work, but I would love like a little like one of the ones that like self-cool. Like, oh my God,
I'm adding it to my manifestation board. I'm like, I want this. I want a sauna. Like I want a whole wellness.
Yeah, I know.
Spa in my backyard.
Yeah. And like rest. I could so easily put a tub upstairs on the balcony. Like that would be fire.
Yeah.
So I've all that's also
add it
on
to the
my
board.
manifestation.
But yeah, I just had to update you guys and let the brothers know that I did my first cold plunge this morning.
She's a wellness girly,
I
guys.
literally am.
A vision of health and wellness.
Yeah, except for my UTIs, but I digress.
It's okay. Me, except for my BV. So
why? Like
I don't know.
last week it was a fucking yeast infection. This week it's fucking UTI. I don't understand why it's so hard to exist as a woman.
It's not fun out here. I have been sober for the most part of August. I had like a slip up like very early August when I was in.
It's not even a slip up. Don't call it a slip up. It's a whatever, you know?
What is it, bestie?
It's whatever.
And
has
no, I think
a negative connotation.
I think that was actually like one of the first days of August because I was in Fort Lauderdale and I went out with my friends and I just got like peer pressured into it. And I honestly, it was exactly what I needed though to like really stay strong for the rest of the month because the hangover from hell the next day that I had was unfucking real. The universe really said fuck around and find out. Because it like one of the worst hangovers ever.
It was a pivot.
It was a pivot for sure. And so I've been sober for the month of August and honestly really happy with how it's been going. I'm going to go out this weekend, so it's going to be interesting to see like kind of how I navigate that cuz it's really easy for me. Like I don't like it's not like I don't genuinely believe I have a drinking problem, so like it's not easy or it's not hard for me to not drink when I'm home. Like I don't have the craving to I've never been one to like pour a glass of wine or like open up a beer, have a seltzer
you don't
home.
drink casually.
I don't drink
socially.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how I navigate that. But I think in LA it's kind of a little bit more normalized cuz people are people are just genuinely sober either by a lifestyle choice or because of past addictions. So I would just tell people that I'm just like, "Oh, I'm sober." And they don't really question it.
No, I know.
Which is nice.
Even back in the day when I lived there, like I got so much less pushback for not drinking in LA than Miami. I noticed that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hate having to like explain it past that because I'm just like I don't want to like go into like all this shit, but like people typically don't really ask, so it's nice. And I've been doing my morning pages since the beginning of August as well, so it's kind of been like nice to couple those things because I can take an inventory like genuinely like of how I feel and like even this past weekend I had such a nice weekend and I was like, dude, it's because I'm not hungover. Like I'm in such a better mood because I like was able to wake up early and work out and like accomplish all the things that I want. I'm not losing an entire day and a half to like being hungover and like, making poor decisions. So
you just feel like your best self.
Yeah. And I don't know. I really do feel like I have been like actively like working towards being my best self and like truly making decisions that align with that. Like even when they're hard, like going to the gym even when I really don't want to, which doesn't happen a lot for me, but I also think I'm about to get my period and I'm also trying to like have grace with the thoughts that are coming in and like the lack of motivation and discipline. And I'm like, okay, this is just like literally my body doing this to me. Like, I think always like right around my period, I tend to get into this mindset shift of like thinking I'm like not doing enough or like that my life is falling apart and it's like my life isn't actually falling apart at all. Like,
your PMS just has a very big effect on your like mental state.
Yeah. So trying to like have grace with those thoughts as well and kind of just like push past them into like just action and like kind of pretending like being an observer, just pretending like they're not there.
Yeah, just gaslight yourself.
Yeah, but other things have been and I think like things with like work have been really great too. Like I really love where we're at, honestly, with all of our businesses and kind of just like, where things are kind of moving into naturally. And with Mood, we made the executive decision to stop a couple services. I apologize if we said this on the last episode.
No, we haven't.
I don't think we did. But yeah, we decided to shift back into being only just a content creation agency, stopping social media management, stopping influencer campaigns for the most part. We still have our men's summer box that we're wrapping up, but after that, we're just moving into content creation, and that decision feels so good to us.
So good. That was like something that I know it takes time for things to kind of build up and you don't want to jump the gun on anything. You don't want to quit too soon. But I think definitely for the last few months, Jess and I have been on the same page, even like unspoken,
Yeah. No,
just
yeah,
of
we hadn't
like
even said anything.
our social media management clients. Like we're not the ones running the account, so it's not even like it's something that we're necessarily passionate about. And two, we just got dealt a few not so great clients that like weren't resonating, but wasn't not a good fit for us. Like they're a great fit for a
Yeah.
different agency, but for us it just wasn't, we weren't vibing with them. We felt like boundaries were being a little
They weren't vibing with
disrespected.
us.
Yeah, so and it kind of put us in this place of like, wait, we don't even really like love doing this, and
Yeah.
transparently we're not even profiting from this. So we kind of had like a very
Yeah.
honest conversation with each other, and we were like, why are we still doing this? Which is
Yeah.
really important. It's so important to have those conversations, and I think it's very easy to get stuck in the comfort of things being the same and like knowing exactly what needs to be done and what's going to happen from that. But it's so nice to have these conversations when things don't feel aligned and realize that you have the power in your hands and can make those changes, and that they're okay and that they're inevitable and that they're welcomed.
Yeah. And also like just as everything that we've ever done in our professional careers, it just feels so aligned. It aligns with socially ambitious, which is like ramping up. And, we're excited to, tell you guys that we're launching 3 more mini courses in the next,
The brothers are
you
the first
know,
to know.
brothers are always the first to know, but,
Mhm.
like, obviously those are going to be really time consuming. And, we're hoping to launch them within like the next 6 months or so. So, like, if like it just aligns perfectly. And even like with like content creation, like it was hard to like show up for like the shoots that we were doing like inspired. And like Olivia and I had like an honest conversation where you know it almost felt like I needed to like step up a little bit with like the photography. And like I feel like removing those services will give me the space that I need to do so. And it's funny because even I was shooting with my friend Shane yesterday, who's an incredible photographer. Like he's so good. Like I love his work. And um he literally like was like, dude, if you ever want, like I will like sit down with you and show you like the exact ropes of everything that I do. He was like explaining so much to me like while we were shooting. And I was like, this just like, it's almost like serendipitous, having that conversation after the conversation that you and I had. And like it just feels really really aligned. And I love that like we're always on the same page about things. Like
Mhm.
I would say it's like a very 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 rare occasion that like we're not on the same page. So I'm just really grateful for that. And we
Same.
and with things with SOAM, like so happy with how things are
So
going.
happy,
And
you
like
guys. We have 150 students.
plus
That's like
150 plus students.
that is such a huge accomplishment. Like I can't even believe it.
Yeah, it
And the
feels
amount of
surreal.
testimonials that we're getting from people, the amount of hirings that we're getting from people like, oh my God, I just landed this job. I just landed that job. Like and people like our students are so genuinely like grateful for like this course, and it makes me so
Yeah.
happy because we know obviously like how much we put into it and how like our biggest why was like wanting to give people that freedom and that flexibility to get out of their like 9 to 5s or their corporate, life sucking jobs, or to, get a foot into the influencer industry. And it's so surreal to just see it all like pretty much a year later come so full circle and have
Yeah.
so many students. It just like
Yeah.
nothing like nothing makes me happier at the moment, like honestly.
Yeah. And like we like one of the
Best
students like
feeling.
posted on her stories like one of our like reels and was like, these girls are like genuinely changing lives, blah blah blah. And I'm like, we did not pay her to say that. We didn't
Yeah,
pay like
that is not an ad.
she did that of her own accord and was like, she was like, these girls are changing lives. Like I took the socially ambitious course and like they inspired me to like make moves in my life. And I'm like, what? Like you feel like
No,
that
it's crazy. Like
inspired?
the
Like it's
podcast
crazy.
has always been like one of the most fulfilling projects we work on. And like now that we're actually seeing a direct effect on people's lives after taking the influencers assistant course, like it's that same feeling of like knowing that we're actually making a difference versus like, we love our brand partnerships. That's our bread and butter. We love creating content, but like the photo of me with this water bottle isn't really going to change lives the way that this
Mhm.
podcast, the way that that course has.
Yeah, no, it's my favorite thing. And like honestly, working on these next 3 courses, I'm like really excited about. I feel really like inspired by. Like I feel
Do we want to tell
good
the
about.
brothers what they are? Give them a little sneaky
Yeah,
peeky?
Yeah, so the first one I think that we're going to spearhead is delegation. And you guys know us. Like, delegation is a fucking buzzword for us. Like, we're queen delegators. We're very passionate about like outsourcing and just kind of just delegation in general. And we believe that it's like imperative to scaling your business and also to like living kind of like a fulfilled life where you're not,
Burnt
completely
out.
burning yourself out. So it's going to be for our fellow influencers, our fellow entrepreneurs, our fellow business owners that haven't, made that first hire yet, or, are kind of looking for some direction. And it's crazy because, as soon as we decide that we're doing this, like people hit us up and they're like, hey, I don't like, I want to hire one of your assistants. I just like don't know how it works and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, I'm going to help you out right now, but we're going to help you out even more in the future because we're going to
Yeah.
walk you step by step on how to do
Yeah.
that.
And even like I think the concept came from necessity as well, of so many
Yeah.
influencers being like, I don't like, what do I tell them to do? And it's like, oh, it's, there's two sides to the equation. It's like an assistant can only bring so much to the table. Like an influencer
Yeah.
also needs to have some skill set of like what to delegate, how to delegate. So we're
How to
super
delegate.
excited about that.
Yeah. And honestly, like we feel like it'll be a fulfilling, like so much more fulfilling for like our assistants as well, because like they won't be like coming into like an influencer's world and like kind of having to help them navigate
Yeah.
delegation. Like it's just gonna like strengthen the working
The
relationship
bond.
so much. Yeah,
Yep.
because
Yep.
they're not gonna be going in and like being like, oh fuck, what do I do here?
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one is going to be a course on pitching directly to like hotels and different like travel excursions and things of that nature. It's like a travel pitching course because you guys know us, we love our travel collaborations, and we get so many other like influencers asking like, how did you land this $20,000 a night travel collaboration? So we're going to be walking people through that. Also, we feel like it'll help our influencer assistants a lot in securing those type of brand deals for their influencers. And yeah, that's going to be our second course. And then you want to talk about the third course, Bestie?
Sure. Our third one is going to be content creation, because this is all things that we just get so many questions about
Yeah,
in our DMs that
simply
it's
a
like,
necessity.
okay, let's just make a course so everyone can
And
just learn
like
that
low
way.
ticket price as well. Like the influencer's assistant course
A job.
was a job. It's a job, and it's the first of its kind, truly. Like this is A to Z, like everything that you need to know, like in depth. We like literally there's no stone left unturned. However, with these courses, they're going to be mini courses. They're going to be a little bit lighter, like less of an investment, and more just kind of like stepping stones to um the goals that you may have in the field.
Yeah, so we're super excited. I can't wait for the content creation one. I'm very excited about
It'll be
that. I
so
think
fun.
so many people like they want to get into it. They don't know where to start. So it's going to be very much for beginners, for entrepreneurs, for small business owners who maybe don't have the resources to hire someone for their social media management and they know that they could do it themselves. This
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the course for them. So we're very
Yeah,
excited, you guys.
so
And
excited.
of course, we'll hook the brothers up a little discount code. So just let us know.
And you guys know.
Yeah, so very excited about all of that. We're also doing a company retreat for socially ambitious in New York next month, which is so exciting. Like we're
Our
realizing we
first
need to
company retreat.
I know, we're realizing we need to like reward ourselves, like celebrate 100 students, celebrate 150 plus students, celebrate, the lives that we're changing. So we are going to New York and we're gonna have ourselves like a little girls' weekend.
Yeah, so
I'm
we are
so
really
fun.
excited. And I don't know, I think that just like the concept of doing a company retreat to me is like so fun. Like that's something that like we've dreamt of doing.
Yeah.
And we thought Mood would be the one.
Yeah.
But it's socially ambitious
At
and
least
we
it's
couldn't
one of
be,
them.
yeah, we couldn't be like more excited that that's
Yeah.
happening. And we get to see,
Yeah.
I haven't been to New York in like 10 years. So I'm really excited to
Yeah.
go back and like, see friends that we haven't seen in so long. And
And we're gonna get coffee with Bianca, who lives in New York.
yes, obviously. Yeah, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the scoop, you guys. We love you so much. Thank you for showing up and listening to us ramble. I promise there's so much value in this episode. You guys are gonna absolutely love it. And we are gonna take a little break for our sponsors, and then we'll get right into it. All right, you guys, we're going to take a second to thank our show sponsor, Hoo Ha. If you don't know what Hoo Ha is, you're welcome in advance. I'm literally wearing their underwear as we speak, and they are so, so comfortable. They are a woman-founded business, and they're natural underwear made from tree-derived fibers. So that means that it's good for you and it's good for the planet, which is a big slay. They feature a one-of-a-kind zinc oxide lining with antimicrobial and odor-reducing properties. They feature extra-wide gussets with no uncomfortable seams irritating your sensitive areas, which if you know, you know, there's no worse feeling than underwear literally digging into all the wrong places. So like I said, I'm wearing the thong right now. It is a dream. They also make really, really cute tanks, so comfortable. They have amazing boy shorts that I also love. They come in cute little sets. You guys, they're amazing. Like I said, thank me later. You can shop all these items at hooha.com. Again, that's HU-HA.com, and we will make sure to leave the link in the description.
All right, brothers, Stacked Skincare. As you guys know, we love Stacked Skincare. We had on Carrie, the founder, just a couple episodes ago. So if you tune into that episode, you know just how informed and intelligent she is, especially when it comes to skincare. I mean, I would trust that woman with my freaking life. Carrie is a licensed esthetician who custom designed the Stacked Skincare tools and stacks so that she could use them in person. They are professional grade products and they're here to help solve your skin issues. It's a no bullshit system, completely tailored to you. We're going to put this link in the show notes, but if you go to their page, they have a quiz, stackskincare.com/pages/skin quiz, and you can go to the quiz page to learn more specifically about what skin issues you need to put behind them and you want to put behind you so that you guys stop wasting money on the gimmicky crap that doesn't work. Guys, I've been using Stacked Skincare for years. I genuinely love and believe in their products. I mean, if you listen to the episode with Carrie, again, you know that you completely trust her and then the products that she developed. She's genuinely a gem and we love Stacked Skincare and use it every day in our routines. So 10/10 recommend. We're going to put the link in the show notes. Go try out the quiz. You guys have nothing to lose. And yeah, we'll get on with the episode.
Okay, you guys, we're on with the one and only Bianca. We are so excited to finally have you on. This has been a long time coming, but patience has paid off. Thank you so much for joining us today. If our audience doesn't already know you and follow you, could you introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about what you currently do, and then we'll get into all the nitty-gritty of how you got here.
Perfect. Yes, I'm so excited. Hey guys, I'm Bianca. You might know me from TikTok, where I post a lot of social media content. I currently work as the social media manager at Tarte Cosmetics, a beauty brand. To that, yeah, it's a fun time. Prior to that, I was working at TikTok as a brand partnerships manager. But really my whole life, I feel like I've been involved in doing something in social. So yeah, that's kind of me. I live in New York City, and excited to talk with you guys.
Yay. Okay, so before we get into how you got there, I would love to know where you started from. Did you study social media? Because I think a lot of people could see that you're social media manager for Tarte and be like, okay, that's literally the dream, bestie. I want to be her. So how did this all start? Did you study it in school? Is it all self-taught? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so definitely not. I did not study marketing or communications in college. I think that's great. There's so many recent grads that are doing that now, who I probably have to compete with in the job market moving forward, but not me. I was actually supposed to be a lawyer and studied. That was the passion project or the passion for all throughout high school, all college. I worked in Congress. I did corporate law internships.
Wow.
I was a student senator at UC Santa Barbara, nonprofit. I was doing.
Jesus, you were in it. Thick.
I was fully in it.
Yeah.
I took the LSAT my junior year and I was all right, moving back to New York City. I'm going to apply to law school, a little bit into that year for that first year post-grad. And so I moved back to New York because I was in school at UC Santa Barbara in California. And when I moved back to New York, I was working at this cryptocurrency financial services firm, this really big one actually in New York City. And I just got a taste of the tech world and being back in New York City and brands, and my kind of horizons just opened up again. And I kind of was crap, like I actually don't know if this is what I want to do. So the job I had at that firm was literally a front desk receptionist. And I was using that job to just like pay my way back to New York after college and move into the city and figure it out. And I was studying for the LSAT, like while at the receptionist job, like that's why I wanted it. Once I finally realized, like a year into that, I was like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do this corporate law thing. And I'm like, okay, now I have to find like, get like a real job that's going to like actually help me build my career and like get me to where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to do something creative and like get into marketing, but I had absolutely zero internship experience in marketing and social. I had zero, like everything was law related. So it was a little bit of a windy journey. And I can like dive into like exactly what I did, but I made a lot of hops. I like bumped around, but every step was super strategic to like just get me a little bit closer to the dream job. And then TikTok, when I got that job at TikTok, that's when like it really started kicking off in the social kind of marketing space for me. So yeah, but definitely not.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. You literally went from working in Congress to now socials at Tarte, like absolutely crazy. And I think it's like I think your story is really inspiring. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate because you started from the ground zero. And I think that's like the scariest thing because like you have invested so much of yourself, your time, your money, your energy into this pathway. And then like starting from ground zero, it's just like you're starting like and also not to mention like your energy, but like your identity is really wrapped in like this version of yourself that you've built and like like your family expects you to do. And like I can only imagine how much pressure there was to make that decision. So I'm kind of curious, when you started feeling like this inkling of like maybe not,
Yeah.
what were your kind of, I would say, like mental steps? Like what steps did you take internally to ensure that like you weren't just like doing this on a whim, but rather like a really deep-seated like intuition feeling?
Yeah. So like speaking of family and just like also identity, for sure, going to law school and like being a future lawyer was a huge part of my identity all throughout high school and college.
Yeah.
Like knew me, everyone knew I was like one, getting the hell out of my small town on Long Island and escaping and going all the way across the country for college. Like that was step one, to study like law, and like the history program there was really, really good. So like that was, I had already invested like so much money also. So I also think a big part of me making like continuing down that path and like only figuring it out after graduation was because like I had already invested so much in the pursuit of law by going to college, by taking out $150,000 worth of loans. My parents are first generation college students. So, or not, I'm a first generation college student. My parents didn't go to college. So, they would support me in anything, but I really felt like if I were to do and follow my dreams of like going to that like school and pursuing that kind of like life for myself, I kind of wanted like the ROI in my head, like personally for it to make sense. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to go to college across the country and like pay all this money, like I can't study marketing. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But a law school, I know I could look up on Google right now the first year law salary in New York City. So like,
Yeah.
I know I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like towards the end there, I just like, one, I really only wanted to go to Columbia and NYU. And I set really high bars for myself. And I realized like, I just wasn't passionate about it as much as I thought I would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of people all throughout my life telling me like, you're going to be such an amazing lawyer. Like you have people in your ear, sharing that like, this is what you're meant to do. Like we're so
building
excited.
that identity with you as well.
Yes. Yeah. Like for sure helping me. Yeah. And it was all like great. They were just supporting me in what I had said I like really wanted to do. But it kind of just, I realized that when I was even in classes and like, I was like, it was good. I was doing well, but it was always like kind of a struggle for me to find balance in my identity, like while I was pursuing that path. Like I'm a super creative person and I have a really entrepreneurial mindset, but in a corporate law setting, like you don't get to practice any of that. So as it became more and more real, and especially when I got to New York City, like thinking of all the opportunities and seeing the things that like I would not have access to if I were to take that law route, just like kind of woke me up and is this really what you want? I also totally have like issues with authority, probably. So probably a lawyer is like not the best upholding law, not the best. Love the idea of advocating for people and changing laws, but like upholding the law in the United States. Yeah. So I was in it for the right reasons. But yeah, I think as soon as I got to New York City and was surrounded by new people, like back in the really hustle bustle, like of it all, and like seeing what could be possible again after coming out of a little beach town in California, like it like kind of clicked again. And I realized I could make a career for myself and like give myself the stability and like the like life that I felt was only possible with a law degree, and pursuing that route, I realized I could totally build for myself not doing law.
I love that.
You trusted in yourself.
Yeah. And that's such a testament to your environment being so crucially important, because going back to New York City, like literally changed your perspective on things.
100%. Yeah. I think mental health was like a huge thing in California, like a big part of my identity and like my, I was always in pursuit of this like bigger picture of like me being this successful, like I'm going to be this lawyer. And I think I still have a little bit of that, like, you're always chasing that like big dream, but when it's the only thing that you're chasing, and then when that thing is something you don't even fully know that should be the thing you're chasing and that you want and who you are, like my mental state in California and Santa Barbara was like not the best. Like I was definitely depressed. You could see like I look like a completely different person as soon as I moved back to New York. I like became so much happier and healthier, and it's nothing about the people there. I really like love that experience, but I in my core I'm a New Yorker, and as soon as I got back here and was around just like this community of people that were like more like-minded and could push me and like motivate me, I wasn't just the person motivating everyone else around me. Like when people were motivating me, that's when like stuff started to change. And it's such a huge part of my like life now, like my community. I'm someone that so much feels and like needs like good community and energy around me. And like, I feel my best when I have that. So for sure, environment is a huge thing.
Love that.
It's crazy how your environment like can literally take you from like depressed to like thriving. And it really has nothing to do with like, it's not like a personal vendetta against the city or like the area that you're in. It's just like simply like the energy that you feel when you're there. And like there's like astrocartographers that like tell you like where you're supposed to be. So like it's likely that you're just like supposed to be in New York, especially like at different stages in your life, because like I think cartography is super interesting. I haven't looked too far into it, but like it really shows you that like, here's where you're supposed to be when you're building towards your career. Here's where you're supposed to settle down, blah, blah, blah. And like, I think that listening to your intuition and knowing that, you needed to go back to New York and that's where you were going to thrive. I mean, just look at you now. Like you're obviously thriving and doing amazing things. But I'm really curious. You said that every step after you made this decision was really intentional. So I'm curious as to what those steps were.
Yeah. So, and I feel like this is just a great playbook for or I guess like a story and lesson, and I don't know, something to consider if you're in a similar boat where like you feel like you're starting from square one, or you're just graduated and you want to get into marketing or you want to get into the creative industries, and you feel like there's just such a high barrier to entry and you don't know where to start. Like if you look on LinkedIn, right, like marketing coordinator entry-level roles are so hard to come by. Ideally, when I had made that first decision, like in my brain, like, oh, I'm going to pursue a career. I didn't know it was going to be social media, but I was like, I want to be in something creative and I want to work for a brand and like a company that I like truly love and believe in. I had those values and those like big ticket, like items, kind of like, that's what I need. It's the North Star is creative, where I can think creatively. I can like work with people I respect and for a brand and a company I respect and like really believe in. And if I could find those two things and it's in New York City, or three things, then like that's the North Star. So I just kept that in mind from the get-go. So like I said, I was literally a receptionist at this crypto firm for this like crypto billionaire guy. Like it was crazy. That opened my eyes to like a whole other side of New York City I didn't really have exposure to when I was living on my town in Long Island. But when I was there, after I realized I'm not doing this law school thing, I was like, okay, well, I think it was 3 months into this role. I was like, I need to get out of this receptionist role and get into the actual company. So his chief of staff like needed a second to her. I had zero experience to like work with the CEO's whole family, managing his professional and personal stuff. And I was just like, I'll do it. And she was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, why not? It's a step closer. It's not me being at the front desk and being a receptionist.
Yeah.
So I jumped into that and I did that for like 6 months. I met so many people like working along, like in that space, working for like a powerful family in New York City. Like that just opened my eyes up to so much. I was doing events for the ACLU, working on his charity initiatives, like, managing his like personal relationships and schedules. And like, it was a little bit of personal, a little bit of professional stuff. And it was super fun. But then I was like, okay, after 6 months of that, I was like, I need to start career building here. And when you don't have experience in other fields, I feel like sales is kind of like the easiest to get into. Like most people, they gauge it off personality, drive, ambition. I'm like, I have all three. And I took a job at a very tiny tech startup and did tech sales. Selling people, did that for 1 year. The company was not great. I did not believe in the leadership. I was like, great, I know this is a year expiration point. I'm jumping right after. Like you take what you need and you dip. Like it doesn't have to be your ending point. That got me a job at a way bigger, more established like tech company, of which TikTok was a client, called Lyra Health. Lyra was in a great mental health tech company, closer to that's a mission I believe in: mental health, access to mental health.
My friend just got hired at Lyra.
Really?
Enough.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
Great company. The CEO was the ex CFO, I think, of Facebook, David Ebersman. Like great company, great vibes, great culture, awesome product. So I was like, one step closer. Did that for a year. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to do sales. I never wanted to do sales. But I was working on bigger accounts there and it was definitely closer. And then I saw this role online. It was like brand partnerships manager, TikTok, New York. Brand partnerships is like ad sales at its core, but because it's TikTok, you are building the paid campaigns, you're onboarding these clients onto TikTok for the first time in some cases, building their organic creator strategies, just like pretty much helping them like get on TikTok, best foot forward. So I applied, literally not thinking anything would happen. And how I got that first interview is a whole other thing of what I did. Like that was hustle to get that first interview. But I got the first interview. It was like a 3-week, super intense interview process, presentations. I remember I was like stressed out. I was like, this is all or nothing. TikTok is the dream. Are you kidding? I was obsessed with TikTok. This was 2021. Like TikTok was like the thing just coming out of the pandemic, like peak. I was like, what? Me working at TikTok? Like literally, I thought I would have to make at least 3 more steps before I got there.
Right.
Like this was going to be a big jump. And I knew that it would change things and it was advertising sales. So there was you're managing accounts. I worked with Canon, Samsung, Bose, Lenovo, so big accounts. I got the job. But yeah, it was more creative, and then came Tart. But it was a lot of little jumps that just got me inched closer to like where I wanted to be. And a lot of like hard work in between each.
Yeah, I love that. Talk about a freaking hustler. And I really love that I feel like our generation is so instant gratification based. And I love that you went into these jobs and you're like, okay, I'm here for a year. I'm going to put it on my resume. I'm going to move up. Like that is so like admirable. And I think something that everyone can take a note, from that. Like you don't have to, if you hate a job, you don't have to be there your whole life. Like you can get what you need from it, move on, think about how you can leverage that experience for the next one, and just kind of keep climbing your own ladder versus like the corporate ladder. Like climb your own opportunity ladder.
For sure. And don't like say no to opportunities. Like if you have, I remember some kind of a-hole kid once was like in New York City, like rich kid parents, like has, you know, he came up to me. I was like, saw him at a party. And he was like, oh, you're already on to another job. Like, aren't you gonna like, what's your deal? Like, he's like, feels like every time I see you, you have another job. Like snarky, mean. I'm like,
that's the point, bitch.
Yeah, like that's literally the point. Every step was intentional, and it got me. It was a better opportunity. Like
how's that trust fund, bitch?
Yeah, I was like,
what are we talking about?
And that stuck with me, because then it's like you get people in your ear. It's like, oh, with like old school corporate people, they're like, you need to stay for this much amount. And it's like, if a place isn't serving you, if you're not feeling valued, if you don't feel like you're pushing yourself, you don't think it's getting, once you feel like you've gotten what you needed out of it and it's not where you want to be, any additional time you invest into that being there is wasted. Like, so like, don't listen to people that are like, oh my God, well, that's a little bit, just take the better opportunity and like keep pushing forward. Like,
well, like that's also what you're supposed to do. Like anyone on TikTok that like talks to people, like it kind of like spreads knowledge on like, you know, climbing the corporate ladder is like, you should spend no more than 2 years at a position and then you need to leave, because you can get more money elsewhere. You can move up the ladder. Like you can scale in the job market much quicker than like with jumping jobs than like staying in the same position and then hoping to grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, not to mention, I think like with the receptionist job, like your first step, right? Like you were like, okay, I've made the decision. I'm going to leave. The door opened for you. Like the door literally opened for you. It was meant for you and you walked through it. Like doors will open for us once we make those decisions, and the universe like will align, but you have to be willing to walk through the door even if it's scary. But the door wouldn't present itself to you if it wasn't for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
So I think it just goes to show that like all these steps that you took, like one thing led to another and then here you are. But I am curious, like transitioning out of TikTok, and then was Tarte your next job after TikTok?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, I can kind of like share a little bit about that.
And like, cause I'm sure like, you know, when you got to TikTok, like I don't know, me personally, I'd be like, well, this is it. Like, you know, I've made it. Like, what do I do? You know? And so I'm sure it's like difficult to have to like, to kind of picture growth from that standpoint.
For sure. Yeah, it was scary. So, I, at TikTok, obviously the company itself, like, wow, we were working at TikTok. So cool. It was like way on the path of like what I envisioned for myself in the future. But I realized that I was around a lot of people who, one, had like already had 10 marketing like roles that had been doing ad sales for 10 plus years. It was a very flat org. So like there were brand partnerships managers that were like 50 and like that were like veterans that had done ad sales at Netflix, at Hulu, Spotify, like everywhere. So I was working with like super smart minds. But then when I looked like up, it's like, okay, brand partnerships manager who's kind of just like managing bigger accounts is like where you go, like as you grow in the org. And I was like, I don't want to do ad sales. Like the whole thing about going to TikTok was to just get one experience in like social and creative and like be closer to that space. But I knew I didn't want to do ad sales forever. And, you know, the corporate culture also at TikTok was like, you know, it was fine. It was, you know, there's like fun things, but it was very structured, and it was very corporate. And also this is like a Chinese conglomerate. Like there's culture from that like transitions to this US to a US company. So there were things about working at TikTok that I think were very unique to TikTok, just because of it being like not an American US company. So it was really strict. And I felt also that that's when I started my TikTok account. So I started posting on TikTok when I was at TikTok, and I was like, oh, great. Now I'm like learning. I'm really passionate about like social media. I'm learning all these things. Like I want to like share, you know, my ideas and strategies and thoughts like with other people of like how they can build a brand on social and how they can position themselves for brand partnerships well. And it's not really things I was like directly learning from TikTok, but it was like, since I was in the space, I was becoming more interested in this and like forming my own opinions. And I wanted to share that and build my personal brand as someone that's like a creative, you know, strategist and someone who can like help people. So I found it very hard to do that at TikTok. So I couldn't really claim any, like, I couldn't really have ownership over the work that I did. You kind of were just a number on a page. You did what you did every day at work, and then that was it. There was no tie-ins from your personal life to like your professional, which I super like really loved about what some of my friends had who are entrepreneurs, how those kind of worlds mesh. And I was always like kind of like, ooh, I wish I could, do something else there. And I felt that was really tough. So towards the end of TikTok, I knew, I was like, I'm just keep an eye out for other roles. And then Tarte kind of like fell into my lap pretty much.
The door opened and you
took
it.
Opened. Yeah, I got invited to Tarte had an Art Basel, like makeup artist event in Art Basel. I had posted a TikTok, like, come shopping with me for Art Basel. Someone from the team saw it. They invited me, oh, you're gonna be in Art Basel, come to our glam suite. So I go to the glam suite. Maureen is there, who's the CEO. And I brought my mom with me to Art Basel, and I was talking to Maureen, and she was like, asking me all these questions about TikTok and social. And I was sharing with her all about it. And she was like, what do you want to do next? And I was like, I want to work for you. And she was like, okay, well, here, we'll give me your number. We'll set up something with the CMO, set up an interview. The next week I had an interview, and the next week I had a job. So that's about
you shot your shot.
Opening and like putting yourself out there. That would have not happened if I didn't post a TikTok about come shopping with me for Art Basel.
Wow.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It is so crazy to look back, like there's like
I have chills.
There's like the butterfly effect where it's like one small decision can like change everything. You just don't know, especially in this world of social media. Like the opportunities, it's almost like we don't even know what opportunities are out there, because when they come to us, like we'll get an email and we're like, what? Yes, of course I want to do this. And it's like, it's just crazy the access that we have to these opportunities. But that is amazing. The door opened and you fucking jumped through it, girl.
Yeah,
you shot your shot.
Yeah, it was like crazy. It's a crazy feeling.
Were they looking for this position prior, or did
you?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think they were publicly advertising it, but they were looking internally. So yeah, I mean, it was a huge opportunity. It was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to move at TikTok where you were just kind of like a number at the page. You didn't really have ownership over the work you were doing. You didn't really feel like you could look at something and be like, wow, I did that. I mean, little things here and there, far and few between. Like there's some big things that happened at TikTok that I was like, wow, that was great. But it took like 6 months to do anything at TikTok. Yeah. But here I was like, this is a role where it's hands-on. I'm actually going to be building social strategy. I'm actually going to be involved in the creative production. I'm, going to work in an awesome, cool beauty industry. Like, this is amazing. Like, I never really thought I'd get into like a consumer space, like, but I definitely wanted that. So it was like the perfect opportunity. And this was what I was talking about though. It was like, this was the North Star. It's like creative, hands-on company. I like really admired, like, I liked the products. I thought it was good. And it was a crazy opportunity. So yeah, I just jumped at it.
You manifested the fuck out of that. And how long have you been at Tarte now?
Coming up on a year. So I'm not leaving. If anyone from Tarte is listening. No, this was the good, it's a good space. Like I do feel like and I think that's important. Like when you're at a spot, if you do feel like there's opportunity to grow and you are passionate about the work that you're doing there, and you like,
or you're valued,
have an impact, and like you feel like you're building something and that there's still work to be done.
Yeah.
Like go follow through, like do that.
For sure.
Here, I feel like there's so much to do, and it's exciting. So yeah, I've been almost a year.
I mean, Tarte's been around like forever, like for such a long time now. Like they're, a huge name in the beauty industry, yet they're still like disrupting, and which is amazing. Like they're still innovating. They're still like at the forefront of the beauty industry right now, like, and like the whole tripping with Tarte stuff, like they're huge. And so it's nice that like you're not feeling stagnant there, and that you still feel like, valued, and that you're doing good work.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's fun. And it's fun, like getting in a space where you get to be creative and like build campaigns around like tripping with Tarte. Like when we were in Turks and Caicos for Tarte Island, like we did so much content there. We had a team, it was me and 2 freelance videographers, and that was it for the whole week. And we posted, I think, like 3 times a day, 4 times a day. Some of it was up leveled, some of it was raw trending. We generated around 13 million organic views on TikTok during that trip, just on our own page. So that was something I was really proud of, like the content there. And we built this whole story about Tart Island, like Love Island.
Yeah. No. I was there. I wasn't there, but I was there.
Yeah. I was the viewer. We were the viewers.
I was 12 million of those 13 million views.
Yeah. We wanted to make it like feel like, and my thing was like, you know, these trips are so obviously like extravagant, like it's a point to like for them to make relationships with the influencers and these creators. And we're so lucky to have so many amazing creators like part of this kind of community with us. And it was such a great time, but like I wanted the social around it to feel like you got to know these creators that were there on like a more personal, raw, unfiltered level, and just like really show what they're like. Like I didn't want it to be like proper and polished, everything. Like I wanted to be fun and give you like that inside scoop. And I feel the comments were like, it was overwhelmingly positive. Like people just like loved seeing people having fun. They loved how they got to feel that the creators on the trip were like actually becoming friends and like mingling with each other. And that's totally what happened. Like everyone was having the best time and like really formed authentic relationships. And I feel like that was just my goal to like convey that for them.
Yeah. And how cool that there was you and 2 other videographers and you can see directly, you're like, I did that. Like
yes,
no one else was responsible for that except me, you know?
Yeah. It was cool. It was definitely really, really fun.
That's awesome.
That's the next one.
Yeah. What do you feel like has been like your favorite thing that you've worked on with Tarte so far?
I think like that Tart Island was like probably one of the top. I do also love, we started this like Shape Tape mascot. If you know him, he's like the big mascot. Yeah. We like put him, they've always had that mascot, and he's been featured in TikToks here and there, but I was like, this one is just so funny. Like anything that mascot does is funny. We can really build a personality and like a story behind it. So I started doing vlogs of Shape Tape, like fully like selfie camera, walking around New York City, like, and these vlogs had voiceover using like one of the voice effects on TikTok, like actually bring a voice to him. And those went super viral. And especially the one where Shape Tape gets asked to like go to Tart Island last minute by Maureen, like she Zoom calls him. And Shape Tape is like a full diva, like, you know, she's America's #1 concealer. Like, of course, she's like, she's busy, like she's sassy, she's fun. So I built this like kind of personality and world around her. And then those vlogs have been also really fun because and people like love them. And then anytime we do something with Shape Tape in New York City, we get stopped like at least 10 times, people being like, Shape Tape, can I get a selfie? Awesome. Like they also are in the game of like, this is
Shape Tape is a celebrity.
Yeah. Shape Tape is a celebrity. Like they were like fully invested in like the story. So we have another one coming out soon, which is fun.
Oh my God. So fun. I love that. Like, I can only imagine from, you know, what I've seen and what you've told us so far that the team is pretty open to your like creative concepts and ideas. And that has to be so fun to like have a really good idea and not be like, oh, but that's never going to get approved. Like it will get approved.
Yeah. I think Maureen, the CEO, she's super amazing at like, you know, she's always trying to like be ahead of the curve and try something new and experiment. And she was, you know, what pushed Tarte to be one of the first adopters of TikTok before I even got there. And I think that definitely is why we have such a strong like TikTok and social presence, is like they do give the social team free reign, and they're not like scared to push boundaries. Like the slogan is like, good for you beauty that's never boring. Like our social should not be boring. We don't want to be boring. You know,
and it works clearly. You know what I mean?
And
more brands need to take a page out of your book.
And it's tough. I feel like in social in general, like the biggest hurdle for brands to activate on social is figuring out a process that works, where you're not stifling creativity, but you also have a little bit of oversight. And even the brands I worked with at TikTok, most of them were not suited internally to like thrive on TikTok, just because they hadn't figured out how to set up their teams in a way that would work. Like you can't have a plan 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out because you're going to miss those things. So you can't, social's ever changing, and especially TikTok, you need to be flexible. And I think, figuring out and like implementing processes to make that flexibility happen is like the most important thing if you're trying to build a good social team and like program.
Yeah, I mean, I know for us, just, running socials for clients, that's like one of the hardest things is communicating to them like, yeah, that's fine, but it won't perform well. Like, and it's hard to get them to like hand over that trust. So I think it's really cool that like she already has that mindset. She trusts you guys. She knows that it's what performs well. It just does,
Yeah, exactly.
So cool.
And you're home right now filming this podcast. So is it a hybrid role, or do you go in person, or?
We're 2 days a week in person, or sorry, 3 days a week in person and 2 days at home. But I've been traveling a ton. We travel a lot. So I think over the past like 6 months, I was like Puerto Rico, Florida, Miami. We did South by Southwest. I just got back from Australia.
All with Tart?
Yeah, like
Jesus
a lot.
Christ.
Turks. We did a bunch of conferences that Maureen was speaking at, like Vegas. We did Indianapolis for VCon.
Wow.
So there's been a lot going on. So that's the most fun though. Like when you get to do content like, on the run and like in new spots, and like you have
it's work and play
too, like when you're in a new space. So yeah, a little bit of everywhere these days.
No, I love that. It's so fun when like every day looks different. I think that like that's what a lot of people crave, and like when they are at their like the 9 to 5 that isn't inspiring them, it's because they're doing the same thing day in and day out. And just to kind of speak a little bit more on like, what'd you say, Liv?
I would love to know, before we move on, kind of in this same vein, like what I know it's hard because you are doing new stuff every day and you're traveling so much with them, but what does like a typical day-to-day look like?
Yeah. So our team has grown now, which is amazing. So I have 4 coordinators on our team, and I'll meet with them every morning. We kind of assess content needs for the month. So we're always like strategizing new launches, taking a look at the content calendar across like every single channel, creating content production requests and lists and going down that, and then assigning it, creating briefs, filming, editing. Sometimes we have events in office and we're like covering those events. Sometimes there's influencer or like PR initiatives or brand marketing initiatives that we go and cover. A lot of it is just like, a big part of it is content creation. Obviously strategy, we'll do like strategy meetings on certain platforms like Threads. We hopped in, I don't know if you that Threads, we hopped in super, early, and we were like one of the first beauty brands on there and gained traction pretty early on. And I was just like threading like the whole, just that first night, I think I pushed at like 5, like we were posting videos of Shape Tape mascot in a bikini, replying to Skims campaigns. We were featured in like Women's Wear Daily as like one of the top Threads accounts. And that was just like no strategy and fun, but we'll have like meetings about like, how can we activate in a fun way on different platforms? But yeah, a lot of content creation as well.
So fun.
Yeah. I love that. And how do you feel like New York living has been for you? And like we saw your stories yesterday. That's what I'm getting at here. And I want to touch on that, and just kind of like being just a young female like hustler in New York. And because I've never fully understood like New York personally, like it's just never appealed to me, but I love how much it like inspires you and how much you thrive there. So I'd love to just kind of touch on like the culture and like how it vibes for you.
Yeah. I think living
aside from events like yesterday.
Yeah, literally. I'll definitely get into that and go through what happened, because that's just a funny but also like insightful story. Yeah, I think culture in New York, like living in New York City in your 20s, you are surrounded, or even in your 30s, like there's no, but you're surrounded by people in their mid 20s and that are like Forbes 30 under 30. They are top of their game. They are, founders, they're raising venture capital. They are working on 30 different projects at once, and they're getting mentions in press, and they're like everywhere. And you are it's very easy to feel like you're just like not doing enough. And I think I had a lot of anxiety about that, and around that, you know, definitely when I was at TikTok, when I felt like I wasn't really in a place where I fully wanted to be, or felt like this was my max potential. But yeah, that can kind of get on you if you don't really just stay focused on like what you're doing and remind yourself that people are, you know, no matter what, like that person on Forbes 30 under 30 right now, who might be the same age, who might seem like on paper is like, you know, ahead of you in so many ways. Like you don't know where they started. Like you're the ground you covered could be 30 times more. Like, and also just look at them as like an example of like that it's possible that you can do that. But it is easy to feel kind of like swallowed up by the rat race. I
feel like it's a double-edged sword, you know. On one hand, it helps keep you motivated, helps keep a fire under your ass, and then the other part is like, yeah, you never feel like you're doing enough.
Well, something that Liv tells me all the time, and like that we kind of preach on the podcast, is like you can't compare your phase 1 or phase 2 to someone's phase 5, you know, like you're just in completely different places. And also just based on this TikTok that I saw earlier, it was like transmuting jealousy and like envy into just inspiration. Like you look at someone and you see like the reason that you're jealous is because they have something that you desire, right? Whether that's success, money, love, whatever it might be. Instead, again, use that like as what you said is like to know that it's possible and just use it as inspiration and say, okay, like if that person did it, I for sure can. Like you're fully capable.
Yeah, you also never know what someone is like. You don't know what they're experiencing. Like, yeah, they could be on Forbes under 30, but they also could be like depressed. Like you just don't know. So I think it's more so like looking at like fulfillment as the new success and joy and happiness as the new success. You know, it's a pillar of our lives and what makes our lives, you know, what makes a happy, good, fulfilled life. Like success in our jobs, that's a pillar of it. You know, our wellness, our personal development, it's all equally important. So you could see something on paper and it looks really, really awesome, looks amazing, but it should never be something that's like, oh, you know, fuck that bitch, I want to be there, not her. You know, you just never know.
Exactly. And I think like something amazing about New York though, like yes, there's fierce competition, especially among women, I feel. But there's also such a sense of community and like the network here that if you are someone who is just like, you know, that if you're someone who's like grinding and motivated and like determined and you have that kind of fire under you, you will attract people from all different like industries and areas that also have that same feeling and that same mindset. And just being surrounded by those people, and there's so many of those people in New York, like is invaluable. And you're always exposed to new things. You're always getting opportunities and new projects and, you know, passion projects and things like that. Like it's super amazing. The community part of like also the people that are in their mid 20s or early 20s or mid 30s, you know, it's kind of like one game. They're like they really do. They say New Yorkers are mean, but they really do like lift you up with them, I think.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that people would like be there if it wasn't the case, you know? And I feel like so many people can just like relate. Like you're all just like grinding, like you're all just like, I think that most people in New York are like in a very like similar season of their lives, and like the community that you find, you like relate based on those things that you're going through, and you're all just like, you know, working towards these similar goals and, you know, uplifting each other and just trying to make it there as
100%.
least burnout as you can.
I will go into the other parts of New York culture about my story yesterday. So I guess starting from square one, I was walking to work yesterday, and this is for the girls, if any girls from New York City, this is for you. This is for the girls anywhere that have been catcalled. This is for you. And this is the story of how I like stood up to my catcaller. So I was walking to work yesterday. It was like 9:30 a.m. and I'm about to cross the street. I have my like coffee in hand, like this little mason jar filled with my iced coffee, my metal straw, no lid. And
very important,
very, very important detail. And I'm just like waiting to cross, and some guy like comes up behind me, like pretty close, and like right in my ear, practically. Like I just like felt it's like, nice body, great ass. And I was just like immediate throw up. Like I've heard worse. There's been worse things that have been yelled at me from across the street by men in New York City. That was like, whatever. But today was just like not that day. It was not the
He
day.
chose the wrong one.
Well, it's also the proximity.
Yeah, like get off my back, first of all. And second of all, gross. So if you've been catcalled, you know that like immediate feeling of just like disgust, anger, uneasiness. Like you want to do something, most of the time you can't or you don't, out of like fear of like
retaliation.
Yeah, that's like a very real thing. Most of the time I'll like throw up a middle finger, but like that also just gives them satisfaction because they're like, she's pissed. She heard my comment, like got her. So most of the time you just stay quiet and keep walking, but not yesterday morning. So I like whip my head around and like look at the crosswalk and I see this guy like mid-40s, bald, wearing a polo, like hideous, like looked like he was going to work.
Hideous.
And his eyes like are locked. He like locks eyes with me. And then as soon as he locks eyes, because it's like everyone else is walking that way, why is your head turned over your back looking at me? Like I knew it was him. And because immediately as we locked eyes, he like whipped his head back and kept walking. And I don't know what came over me, but I just did a little sneaky sprint behind him into the crosswalk and poured my entire mason jar filled with iced coffee, like filled to the brim, all over his bald head and hideous polo. And he literally just like stood there in shock. He didn't even like try to really like get out of it. Stood there in shock, speechless. And I said, F you, pig. And I walked away. And it was probably the most satisfying thing I've done in a long time.
Nothing quite gets me going like that.
R.I.P. to the coffee,
iconic.
but worth it.
I know. R.I.P. to the middle straw in the streets of New York City.
So worth it.
Yeah.
Iconic behavior.
Literally.
And like it is scary though, because you like, you just don't know how someone's going to retaliate. And like, I've even like, I'm a big retaliator. If a man like speaks to me or like I probably would have done the same thing.
Dresses go to is barking at them, which I think is hilarious.
I love a good bark.
Good, yes.
She has a good bark.
But in like big cities, like it's just so, I mean, anywhere really, it's so scary. Like I was driving in LA the other day and like this guy like cut me off and I almost always have my windows down and he like looked over at me and like I like had honked at him, which like wasn't even him catcalling, but then he like got beside me, saw me, and then followed me for blocks and blocks and blocks and like drove aggressively. Like he drove into oncoming traffic to get in front of me to like try to stop my vehicle. And like it's just so scary because you never know what's gonna happen. Like, and that was just me honking at a guy, not even like, you know, a catcalling, but like nonetheless pouring your coffee over someone. So honestly, absolute slay that you did that. I'm so glad that you're safe and like here, like, you know, it didn't end differently.
Yeah, that's a big risk.
And probably better that you were also in public. Like he couldn't
totally. Well, I was gonna say with so many witnesses around, I would like feel better about it.
What was the crowd's reaction?
Yeah,
the crowd was kind of like looking. People are like on their way to work. I knew that they were not expecting to see that, but also like it was definitely a split time decision. Like it was a risky decision for sure. But
yeah, you analyze
subjects wisely. If you like women, like I had a lot of DMs like, great, that's my new go-to. Like
you're like, no, I'm not taking responsibility for that.
99% of the time I don't say anything because there's very real drug issues in New York. There's very real mental health issues. There are some people women are getting punched in the face unprompted by men in the subway, getting pushed into the tracks. Like it is not a game, but I assessed the subject. He looked not like he was in distress or like it was like I assessed quickly.
Like I can take him.
I was like, yeah, he did not. He was wearing a polo, like going to work. Like it was not. You know, what there's other
he looked like he had something to lose.
Yes, and what I was thinking was like, imagine getting to work and being like, people are like, oh, like what happened to your shirt? You can't even say you spilled coffee yourself because it's on your back. So like, what are you gonna say now? Like, I hope at least I made him late for work.
I love this.
Oh, and they're gonna be like, he's gonna be like, some crazy lady spilled coffee on me. I'd be like, why'd she do it?
Yeah.
Why'd she do that?
Keep it fucking real.
I'm like, that's a vanilla oat milk latte, babe. She did not spill that on you for no reason.
So true. That is $7. That is at least $6 worth of coffee on you. That was not an accident.
That's a Dio Valeto Nespresso pod, babe. Like we don't waste those around here. All right.
Exactly.
Only if it's absolutely worth it, which in that case it was.
Yeah.
Well,
So
glad you're
slay.
safe. Thank you for standing up for women everywhere who are sick of being
Sure.
catcalled. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. I think what really sticks out to me about your story is that, like, you know, you look at people and where they're at with these dream jobs, and everyone just thinks it was a linear, you know, way to get there. And I love that, like, your whole life and through such a big season of your life, you thought you were going to be something, and then you didn't gaslight yourself into being that something. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to your intuition, and that's so important, because it's like that whisper. We talk about whispers a lot on the podcast. Like, that whisper isn't going to go away. So either you're going to waste time and you're going to be 10 years into being a lawyer before you realize you fucking hate it and you're miserable, or you're going to make the switch sooner. And I think your story is such a great testament to just like truly listening to that intuition and not pursuing something just because your identity, because it looks good on paper, because of friends and family, like doing something truly that you know you want to do and what resonates with you. So
sure.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Something I've been telling myself and other friends a lot is like, you know exactly what you want to do. You're just waiting. You're just like waiting for either the right moment or like the right feeling or whatever it might be. But like, if we really like listen to ourselves, we know exactly what we want to do. We just have to take the leap. And I think that your story is a true testament of that.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just, I'm not any like special, like literally like also being in New York, recognizing like the privilege I've had, and like it's very, the opportunities that I've had, like, you know, it's specific to situation. Obviously everyone's is, but like, yeah, I think the message is just like hard work still pays off, you know, and like following intuition, gut, and like where you're valued is like huge. Once you find people that like value you and your work and your mission and story, like you can do whatever. So there's more to come. Not done yet.
Yeah,
and if
so
people
excited.
want to follow you and your journey and just stay tuned with everything that you've got going on, you know, the lattes that you're pouring on bald men and polos, where can they follow you?
Yes, follow me on Instagram. I'm very active on stories, and where I shared that latte story first, it's Bianca Fernandez, but Bianca has 2 A's at the end. So BIANCAA Fernandez. And on TikTok, I am Bianca M Fernandez 8.
Love. Thank you so much for coming on.
Okay.
We've loved talking to you and just getting more insight about your journey. And I do think it's going to resonate with so many of our listeners. So guys, if you liked this episode, please, please, please take a screenshot, share it on your story, tag us, tag Bianca, let her know how much you loved her story. And we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.